formula for density is m over v, where m is mass and v is volume. If mass is measured in kilograms and volume is measured in cubic meters, what is the unit for density? All they want you to do is rewrite this formula, but instead of like using m and v for mass and volume, they want you to put their units. So like, what is mass measured in? Kilograms. And what is volume measured in? Right. And that's all they're wanting you to do. Okay, so let's look at number 2. The formula for force is F equals ma, where m is mass and a is acceleration. If mass is measured in kilograms and acceleration is measured in meters per second squared, what is the unit of force? Okay, so for this one it would be F equals, force equals, mass is measured in, okay, and then they're touching, so that means times, A is measured in, right, and then they are going to want you to go one step further with this one and just write it all together, like kilograms times meters, and then all over second squared. Okay, so why don't you take a second and try 3 and 4. Alright, number 3, the formula for velocity is v equals d over t, where d is distance and t is time. If distance is measured in meters and time is measured in seconds, what is the unit for velocity? V equals whatever what? Right, meters over seconds. Alright, number 4. The formula for pressure is F over A, where F is force and A is area. If force is measured in pounds and area is measured in square inches, what is the unit for pressure? V equals? Right. Okay, number 5. For the question above, force and area can also be measured in metric units. If the metric unit of force is newtons and the metric unit of area is square centimeters, what would be the metric unit for, this should say, pressure? Shh. Pressure equals whatever what? Right, newtons over centimeters squared. Okay? Alright, last one on this page. Number 5. The cost in dollars of a single-story home can be approximated using the formula C for cost equals KLW, where L is the approximate length of the home and W is the approximate width of the home. Find the units for the coefficient K if width and length are measured in feet. So we start out with C equals, did they give us units for K? No, they want us to find the units for K. So right now K just has to stay as itself. Now, they told us length and width are measured in what? Well, but that's 2 different things. So isn't that basically like feet times feet? That's for the length and that's for the width. But you would take it a step further and write K times feet squared. Okay, now we're going to move on to something totally different. I want you to turn in your packets, I believe it's page 14. The square root of 64 equals what? 8. Right, that one is easy because it's a whole number. And what do we call it when you take the square root of a number and you get a whole number? A perfect square. However, when you move on to a problem like number 3, not a perfect square. Now, the reason I know it's not a perfect square is because if I type in the square root of 216 in the calculator, it does not give me a whole number. It gives me 14.69693846. But that is not what kind of answer we're wanting on this page. They don't want you to just evaluate it. They want you to simplify it. Okay? Kind of like, I mean, this is totally different, but like if somebody says 4 over 8. We all know that when you evaluate 4 over 8, it's 0.5. But if you're just asked to simplify it, what does it simplify to? Right. So same kind of thing that we're going to do today. We're not just evaluating it and telling the value of it, we're actually simplifying it. So let's look at number 3. Whenever you get to one that is not a perfect square, you're going to have to create a factor tree. What that means is you find two numbers that multiply to give you 216. So use your calculator, because I know you're not just going to know those two numbers right off. Maybe do like 216 divided by 4, and let's see what it is. Okay, look, that means 4 times 54 makes 216, right? So we could start with those numbers. That doesn't mean you had to start with those. You could start with any two numbers that multiply to give you a 216. Now you need to continue. What two numbers multiply to give you a 4? 2 times 2. What two numbers multiply to give you a 54? 6 times 9, or yes, you could have written 9 and then 6. It doesn't matter what order. Now, 2 is prime, correct? So we don't have to worry about either one of these anymore. Does everybody understand what I mean by prime? Okay, let's go over what it means. Right. Okay, look. 1 is prime, 2 is prime, 3 is prime, 4 is not prime, 5 is prime, 6 is not, 7 is, 8 is not, 9 is not. Let's talk about why. The only way to get a 1 is to do 1 times 1, right? The only way to get a 2 is 2 times 1. The only way to get a 3 is 3 times 1. But you can get a 4 by doing 4 times 1 or 2 times 2, which makes it not prime. No. Well, yeah, but only to here. Like, because then 5 goes back to prime, because the only way you can get a 5 is 5 times 1. But 6 is not, because you could do that by doing 2 times 3. 7 is prime, but 8 is not. So now does everybody see what prime means? Okay? Prime means that you can only get the number by multiplying that number by 1. Okay? Alright, so let me erase all those. Okay, so now, is 6 prime? No. I can do 2 times 3, correct? And then 9 can be broken down into a 3 times 3. Once they're all prime, I do want you to drop them all to the same level. Okay, that way they're all at the bottom together. Okay, now there's a little story that I teach to help you remember how to do this. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to circle any pairs you have. Like, see how we have a pair of 3s right here? And then over here, see how we have a pair of 2s? A pair is just 2 of any number. Okay, but then we don't have any more pairs because we only have one left over 2 and one left over 3. Okay, those circles that you've just created are couches. The dad gets home from work, he walks in the door, and he realizes that his daughters, 3 and 2, have invited their boyfriends over, and they're on the couch holding hands. That is not allowed, okay? So the dad gets really mad, and he kills each of the boyfriends, and then he kicks the daughters out of the house. Okay, so remember, like I was saying, the circles are now couches. The dad walked through the door, found his daughters at home. They've invited their boyfriends over, which is definitely against the rules, and they were holding hands, okay? They get killed, the boyfriends get killed, the daughters get kicked out. Now, that means 2 and 3 are now no longer living in the house, okay? They're outside the house. But look, this younger brother 2 and this other sister 3, they were being good. They weren't on the couch with their boyfriend or girlfriend, so they get to stay inside. Anything that gets kicked out multiplies together, and anything staying inside multiplies together. So your final answer for this is 6 square roots of 6. Now, there are multiple ways to check to make sure you have simplified it correctly. The first way is, look up at the board or you'll be confused. You take the outside number and you multiply it by itself. What is 6 times itself? And then what's 36 times 6? Type it in. Okay, doesn't that take us right back to where we started? So that's one way to check it. Another way to check it would be type each of them in. We already typed in the square root of 216 and saw that it was 14.6969 whatever. Now let's type in our simplified version, and make sure it really is the same thing. And look, it is. That means we've simplified it correctly because they still equal the same value. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so now let's go to number 5. Okay, and they will get easier. I mean, that was a bigger number to start with. So the smaller the number you're starting with under the radical, the easier it will be. Like for instance, 72, you can spit out the numbers right away. You don't need the calculator. What numbers multiply to 72? 8 and 9. Okay, then 8 breaks down into 4 and 2, and 9 breaks down into 3 and 3. 4 breaks down into 2 and 2, and then the rest of them are primes, so just drop them down so that everything's on the same level. That way it makes it easy to circle them. Okay, so now look, we have a pair of 2's, and we have a pair of 3's. So the only person that's going to get to live in the house is who? This 3, right. Oh, my bad. Let me fix it. Okay. This was supposed to be a 2. So give me a second. Okay. Yeah, bring down the 2, bring down the 3, and bring down the 3. Okay, now let's circle. So we have a pair of 2's, and we have a pair of 3's. So now who gets to live in the house? This 2, he was just in his room playing with his toys. Okay, he's not in trouble. Okay, now the dad comes home. He finds that his daughters have invited their boyfriends over. He gets really mad, kills the boyfriends, kicks the daughters out of the house. So if 2 and 3 got kicked out, what's outside? Which makes a 6. You multiply anything that gets kicked out together or anything that stays inside together. Now let's use our method to check. What is 6 times itself? And what's 36 times 2? 72. So that means we did it right. Another way to check would be to type each of them in the calculator and see if they give you the same number. Okay? Alright, number 7. The square root of 54. Okay, what are 2 numbers that multiply to give a 54? 6 times 9. Okay, 6 is a 3 and 2, and 9 is a 3 and 3. Okay, so when I get ready to circle, I only have one pair. Okay, so only one person's getting killed, one person's getting kicked out, and then what else going back inside the house? Which makes a 6. And then always check it. The check method is to take the outside number and multiply it by itself. What's 3 times itself? And what's 9 times 6? 54. So we did it right. Alright, why don't y'all try number 9 by itself? We're doing the odds. Okay, what are the factors of 20? Okay, that you could start with that, or you could have started with 10 and 2, whatever you want. 5 is prime, so we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to factor the 4 into a set of 2's, but then we will bring it down so that everything's on the same level. Okay, now I circle my pairs. Okay, so the only person who's going back inside the house is what? The 5. They were being good. They weren't circled. But then kill that one, kick that one out. And your answer is 2 square roots of 5. Aren't you glad you're not my children? Okay. No. You should have... Okay, let's talk about that. That's a good question. They were just saying that they chose 2 and 10 and it didn't work out. But let me show y'all something. If you choose 2 and 10, and then like that becomes 5 and 2, right? Yes, your 2's get separated. This is what happened. The dad walked in and they tried to slide apart really quick. Okay, they tried to stick their elder brother right between them to act like they weren't holding hands. But the dad's not dumb. He still kills the boyfriend and kicks the daughter out of the house, and the older brother goes to his room. No, you don't ever need to put ones, because once they're prime, you just drop them down. Okay, number 11. Number 11. So, what are the factors of 105? Okay. 21 then breaks down into a 7 and 3, and then 5's prime, so it just comes on down. Nobody invited their boyfriend over, so everybody's being good. That means everybody gets to go back inside. Well, when you put all three of those back inside, you multiply them, and they come back to 105. Think about it. Don't you have fractions like 3 over 4 that can't be simplified? Sometimes that happens. Sometimes things can't be simplified. All right, number 13. Go ahead and try that one by yourself. Here we go. I'm going over it. Number 13. What are the factors of 80? Okay, that would work. You could have started this one many ways. Shh. Then 5 and 4. Then 2 and 2. Am I done?
No,
Right. That breaks down into another set of 2's. Okay. Right. We got some identical twin daughters living in this house, and they're both bad news. Okay, so kill, kill, kick out, kick out. So we have both daughters on the outside, and then 5 on the inside for a final answer of 4 squared to 5. Yes, I will do it the 40 and 2 way. Okay, I'll just do it over here to the side while they're copying. Okay, so 40 times 2. What'd you do from 40? Okay, 20 times 2. But remember, you got to continue bringing down these 2's that are prime. And then 20 breaks down into... Okay. And then continue bringing down these 2's. And then 5 and 2. And then, so you end up with the same numbers. See? You must have just forgot to bring one down. Okay, number 15. Shh. Number 15. We're almost done. Well, we're not doing the evens. We're just doing the odds. You're doing some for homework. I'm almost done. Okay, number 15. What are the factors of 320? That wasn't even funny. 32 and 10 would work. Yeah, that would work. Okay, 32 then breaks down into a 8 and 4. 10 breaks down into a 5 and 2. This 8 becomes a 4 and 2. This 4 becomes a 2 and 2. And then these just drop. They're both already prime. Okay, we're almost done. We just got one more 4 to break down. Okay, now look, I want to show y'all something. Say you get to the bottom of your tree and you're like, man, I'm not sure if I did it right. Well, watch this. If I take all of these children and multiply them together, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Wait, I forgot one, didn't I? Okay, there's the fifth 2. Oh, no. Hold on. Okay, look what I'm doing. Aren't I just typing these in? And then times 5 times 2. I've just typed in all of the children. 320. That means I've done it right because they multiplied back up to where I started. So now that I know I have the right factors, I can start circling, killing, and kicking out. Okay, look. We got some that tried to split apart when the dad walked in, but we know. Okay, so kill, 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 kick out, kick out, kick out. So the only person going back in the house is who? 5, and then what do all of these become on the outside? 8. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Okay, say one that you had written 6. You would have easily figured out that you did it wrong when you did 6 times itself is 36. 36 times 5 is not 320. That's why you should always check. Okay? We're talking about something else now, Edward. All right, number 17. This one's different. Pay attention. Number 17. Okay. What's going on here in this household is this kid already got kicked out a long time ago, and he's just out on the front lawn begging to get back in. Okay? So, we only need to worry about the square root of 24. What are factors of 24? Okay, that would work. 8 and 3 would have worked. It doesn't matter how you start as long as you have the right numbers at the bottom. 6 breaks down into a 2 and 3. 4 breaks down into a 2 and 2. You would have gotten those same 4 numbers had you started with 8 and 3. Okay, so now we have one pair. Okay, so one of those in the pair gets killed, one of them gets kicked out. The others get to go back in and they make a what on the inside? Okay, but that's not the final answer because you have to now join this 3 with this 2 to make a 6 on the outside. You multiply. Anything on the outside multiplies together, anything on the inside. Now watch me check it. 3 square root 24. Okay, see how I'm typing in the original question? That's 14.6969 whatever. Now watch me type in 6 square root 6. Same thing. That means we did it right. Okay, you go ahead and try number 19. What in the world is taking y'all so long on such an easy problem? Y'all, look at the calculator. The square root of 256 is a perfect square. So if I know that the square root of 256 is 16, I can then just multiply it by that negative 6, and the answer is negative 96. Okay, for those of you who factor tree, didn't you discover that every single thing was circled, so everything was getting killed or kicked out, and there's no longer a house? That's because it was a perfect square. Okay, you need to be working on 21, 23, 25, 27, and 29. The remaining odds, there's 5 of them. Whatever you do not finish is homework, but you're not switching out yet. So you might as well work.